What's going on, everyone? So, one of the centers most linked to the Los Angeles Lakers, as well as the most realistic option, in my opinion, kind of is the consensus most realistic option at the center position for the Los Angeles Lakers, and that is Nic Claxton. And a lot of talks about the Lakers potentially trading for Nic Claxton. He's been linked to Lakers for really some time now, right? Even last trade deadline, Lakers were linked to Nic Claxton, and on the surface, he is the ideal center, right? The big concern is he's so thin, right? He doesn't have the weight behind him, but he is one of the most versatile defensive bigs in all of basketball, right? He's a guy that genuinely can defend 1 through 5 at the center position, be a rim protector, be that floor running big, be that lob threat, be that guy that is ideal slotted alongside Luka Doncic. He's young enough to be that piece for now and the future, 26 years old at this time, right? So he's a guy that you could have at the center position for the foreseeable future, right? He's not a guy that you're just getting momentarily. I would, if you do get Nic Claxton, have a more sizable center as your backup, right? So that way you kind of have these different looks, that you have that more versatile defensive switchable center and a Nic Claxton, but then that more physical, imposing interior presence, and whoever. It could even be a Jericho Sims at that point, right? Somebody that can just bang with the big boys, that has the weight behind them to kind of match up against some of these bigger centers, particularly in the Western Conference. But again, one of the big things about Nic Claxton is like, okay, yes, he's the most realistic, right? Because one, we know what the Brooklyn Nets are looking for. The Lakers have exactly what they're looking for in a potential Nic Claxton trade. They've been shopping Nic Claxton for some time now, so clearly they're interested in kind of getting off of him. They have several other options, right? Maybe you can even expand the trade and get some other pieces from the Brooklyn Nets, because it appears that they're kind of wanting to hit the reset button. They're even active in trying to acquire other picks and even potentially another lottery pick. They're trying to trade Cam Johnson as well as the 19th pick and land a lottery pick. So, they're kind of ready to hit the reset button a little bit. And obviously Nic Claxton, he's young to where you could kind of keep him if you wanted to, if you were the Nets, but he's also old enough to where you could justify like, hey, if we're going to spend 3 to 5 years kind of rebuilding and retooling this thing, right? By the time we're ready to where we need to be, Nic Claxton's already kind of aged out for us. So let's just recoup some assets, get as much as we can. And they have other options at center that maybe they could look to. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what direction the Nets go. But according to reports that have came out, Yahoo Sports, as well as Nets Wire, right? And the reason it's important to stress the Nets Wire part of it is because, usually when you're looking at these kind of things, it's like, okay, well, where's the news coming from, right? Is it a neutral source? Is it kind of, heavily favored towards the Lakers, right? Like, what is it, right? Talk about it all the time, year after year after year, right? Like, where the information is coming from is very important, because depending on where the information is coming from depends on how valid it is, or, who's it would be more favored towards in that swing. So the fact that Nets Wire is the one that is reporting this and bringing this out, as well as, again, Yahoo Sports, that Nets Nic Claxton may be closer to joining the Lakers than some think. Again, article goes in to talk about how Nic Claxton, again, appears to be the most likely center for the Los Angeles Lakers. And look, it makes sense that we've gotten reports from Lakers side, from neutral sites, everything, that like, hey, the Lakers have already started their process. They're expected to be very aggressive and just turning over every rock, turning over every stone to make sure that they're able to get what they need to get this offseason. I think the Lakers, they're like 4 pieces away. I think they need a clear-cut starter center. I think they need a clear-cut backup center. And then I think they need 2 perimeter guys, 2 guys that can help with athleticism and, point of attack and just be versatile out there on the perimeter. And I think the Lakers can be contention. Again, assuming Luka gets back to being Luka, which he's looking great at this time, right? And then, how everything kind of meshes together, right? If everything works out right, I think the Lakers could be right back into contention. But when you're talking about Nic Claxton and bringing in Nic Claxton, right? It's like, okay, well, is he the guy? And what's the likelihood? Well, okay, Lakers and Nets have made trades in the past. Sean Marks and Rob Pelinka have a really good relationship. We know what the Brooklyn Nets value and are looking for. the Lakers actually have those things that they value and looking for. It really just boils down to what is the cost, right? And if the Lakers are being active and already in the process of speaking to teams and trying to work stuff out, and you see a lot of these teams want to start making moves around the draft, Lakers very well might be able to get something done and get Nic Claxton hopefully sooner rather than later, especially if the reports are accurate that like, hey, Nic Claxton is closer to being a Laker than we think, right? Obviously, nothing's done until it's done. I mean, we've even had trades that looked like they were done. Miles Turner, for example, right? I still to this day think if we had Miles Turner, we probably have won another championship by now. And bare minimum, you'd have Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and Miles Turner as like your building blocks. And now it's just like, okay, we just need perimeter help at this point, right? So I think, we've seen the scenario where trades look like they're about to get finished or are close to being done or look like they're about to be done, and things happen. Things get vetoed or things change or, team changes their mind or they want more. And it depends on like, what do you have to pony up to go get Nic Claxton? If you have to sell the farm to go get Nic Claxton, personally, I'd stay away from it, right? Because again, as great as Nic Claxton is, he's not like he's ideal in many areas, but not all areas, right? And I don't think you need this like superstar center. Right? And I'm not saying Nic Claxton is necessarily that superstar center, right? But I think all you really need if you're the Lakers is just a center that can essentially do three things. A center that can rebound, be that lob threat, and protect the rim. If you can find if Jericho Sims can do that, perfect. You just need somebody that can come in because Luka's going to be the guy that's setting them up. Also, bare minimum, right? Best case scenario for that center, they're the fourth option, right? Even a Mark Williams or something like that. Best case scenario for that center, they're the fourth option because you're going to have Luka, LeBron, Austin Reeves, right? So even if you were to land a Mark Williams, how many attempts is he going to get? How many touches is he going to get? How much opportunity is he going to get to actually maximize his skill set as this maker? Now, long term, yes, there's some value there and whatnot because, LeBron retires. Now he, at bare minimum or at worst, becomes the third option. If the Lakers end up trading Reeves at some point, now he might end up becoming the second or continue to be the third option, right? But to me, it's like you kind of figure that out later on down the road. Right. And you'll probably get another star at some point after LeBron retires. So I think you just need that center that can kind of come in and play that role and play that part and understands that role and understands that part and can kind of fill in that gap for you if you're the Lakers. Right. So to me, I don't necessarily want to sell the farm for a center because I think that there are multiple options out there that solve that need. And you also look at Nic Claxton, he's due some money over the next few years, right? He's not a guy that is making $13 million a year that you can just go and trade for, right? Next year, he's making 23, or this year coming up, 25.3 million, and then he's going to make 23 million and then 20 million. I do love that his contract declines every year, which is great because as his contract comes down and the Lakers salary cap increases, that can be the difference. Even that, 2 million decrease every year can be the difference between you being a first apron team, a second apron team, right? Your ability to go and acquire other players, so on and so forth. And then in 2 years, he'd be almost $21 million expiring contract. And at 28 years old. So if you do need a retool or whatever, you'd have that contract that now you could levy. And he's still young enough, right? Or if it doesn't work out with him, whatever, right? You're not stuck, right? So, but again, he has 68 million or whatever it is in long-term salary, right? So that needs to be accounted for as well. Now, if you're the Lakers, you're not really worried about that because you're trying to find a long-term center. You're trying to find somebody that you have for the next few years that's also young enough to kind of play a part. So I'm not saying that Lakers should just get Nic Claxton for free, right? Oh, it's just expiring contracts and that's it. But, if you have to give up a first and Dalton Connect and a pick swap and all this other stuff, it's just like, good luck to you, right? Like you're better off, again, you're almost better off just going and convincing a Clint Capella and like a Jericho Sims as like your backup, right? And then boom, you solved your center issue. And then now you can use all your assets to go get perimeter help, which I even think there's an argument to be made for that, right? But nonetheless, right, you're looking at Nic Claxton. He's a guy, when given starter minutes in a starter role, is basically a double-double guy that's a versatile, switchable defensive piece, right? He's already, giving you 10 points per game on a team like the Brooklyn Nets. I think he's at least, a 14 point a game guy on a team like the Los Angeles Lakers, because Luka's going to be actively setting him up, and Luka's constantly looking for that outlet, right? So it's one of those things where, like, to think that any center we get, whatever his point total is, he's not going to get 2 more baskets a game on just Luka's lobs, I think would be a little silly. So I do think Nic Claxton, again, I think he would greatly benefit from being on the Lakers. I do like him a lot. I do think if the Lakers can get him at a reasonable price, I do think you should get him. But again, I do think that there are other options the Lakers can look at and explore that might not break the bank as much. So again, it just depends on what's available. What do you have to give up, right? There's a lot of factors that go into it. But if Nic Claxton is the center and it looks like he might be the guy, then I'm all for it. Sign him up. Excellent defensive piece, versatile, switchable defense, right? That's what the Lakers need. And then if you can go get, ideally, I'd love to go get a point of attack guard, go Dorian Finney-Smith. If you told me you had like Luka, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron James, and Nic Claxton, I think that's a contending team, right? You got shooting, you got defense, you got switchability, right? You got athleticism, like you got everything you need. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.